Welcome to r/cheating_stories, where we get to hear people's stories with cheating. Hey guys, I just started an Amazon affiliate link, so if you want to help me be able to make better content, please purchase something by clicking the link in the description and purchasing anything. It won't cost you anything extra and will really help build this community. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the video. I think I screwed up, or the cake. I tried posting this in Surviving Infidelity, but the bot didn't like it. Could really use insight. I, 32 meters, have been married to my wife, 30F, for 5 years, and it feels like in the last year she's become a complete stranger. We were both established when we met, and at first it felt like we shared the same values. I went to a trade school and learned a very technical job. I worked shit entry-level jobs before I proved myself and built a reputation in coding, to the point where my references trumped my education. My wife has a graduate degree and works in a management position. This created a bit of what I thought was friendly tension at the time. Early on, I bitched about middle management. I saw them as roadblocks between me and finishing tasks. My wife saw middle management as necessary for directing personnel and resources. Personally, I was stuck with a bad string of middle managers that thought code developers were modular and replaceable. They set unreasonable deadlines, promised features to clients, and created scope creep. Every time I told her about the next boneheaded thing my manager instituted, she always took his side. Note, she never met him. He sees things you don't, she says. After about a year of dating, I learned to stop telling her about my day at work if it doesn't involve days off or raises. I always felt like she resented the fact I didn't go back to school for a 4-year of graduate degree. She pushed about it early on before marriage, but when I broke down the loans and debt, she dropped it. She was relatively debt-free when we married, as was I. As I said, we were pretty close in earning power as well. About 2 years ago, I started working for a company that had an owner that talked to me directly. He saw value in me and my potential. I now make 50% more than my wife, and my manager is a guy that works well with me. While not a technical lead, he embodies what a scrum master should be. I would say he knows how to stay out of my way, but that makes it sound adversarial. He's a great supervisor. The first 4 years of marriage went great, overall. I didn't complain about manager's form work, and she didn't push me to dump thousands into a piece of paper and debt. We had fun, went on date nights several times a month, shared hobbies, cooked together, read books together, and watched movies together. When the first lockdown hit, we both worked from home. Our house is really nice, with 3 spare bedrooms for if we eventually had kids. One was already converted into an office for me, and when lockdown started, we converted the second one into an office for her. We both telecommuted, but we both had very different philosophies about it. I would get up, make breakfast, shower, shave, dress in a suit, then walk into my home office. I hate suits and ties, by the way, but it does put me in the mental state of okay, this is work time. My wife, however, rolls out of bed, eats breakfast, brushes her teeth, puts on a t-shirt and sweatpants, and goes into her office with the iPad to play Candy Crush between emails. I guess I see it as work from home, and she sees it as work from home. I digress. It's the weirdest thing how proximity can create distance. She has several meetings a day, and I can tell because she keeps her door wide open and I can hear them. I have 1 meeting a day, a scrum, and it's short. I close my door for mine. 5 months ago she said she felt insulted that I close my door for the daily scrum. I explained that it's for peace and to keep my mind focused on work. She said she felt like I was hiding something. I tried to keep up our hobbies together, but she brushed it off as we see each other all day as is. I should have pressed, but I didn't. I treated the lockdown as temporary, and maybe I shouldn't have. It got really bad when her company instituted a partial office reopening. She jumped at the chance to be part of the 50% of the company back in a rearranged office to allow social distancing. I don't blame her. I miss working at the office too, but my company hasn't opened up the offices yet, and as long as I have access to my dev environment, it really isn't needed. I think several of her other co-workers got into her head. She would stay after work to hang out with them, have drinks at a co-worker's place. I pressed and wanted to know more, but she was secretive and guarded. She became colder and colder too. It felt like I had a roommate and not a wife at that point. Last month, on a weekend, she put her old iPad on the desk and said, "Can you wipe this? I want to gift this to my niece." I shrugged. I often do that sort of thing for the family and didn't think much about it. Off she went to another company gathering and I switched on the iPad. Maybe my wife was becoming so brazen. Maybe she thought I wouldn't check it and just do a factory reset. Point is, I checked it and saw her messaging app. Pics, videos, IMs with her boss. They've been having an affair for 2 months. I can't describe the feeling in my veins. It was like my blood turned to ice. It reminded me of the scene in Equilibrium where the polygraph flatlined. I copied everything, packaged it into cloud storage I use for dev projects separate from work, and started looking for a lawyer. I didn't confront at first, because I wasn't sure what I would do. The new sensation in my body felt like I was both numb and walking through water. She didn't notice or didn't care. By that point we were already dead bedroom. We were really in the roommate stage, I guess. I contacted a lawyer and he wanted to keep investigating and me to keep my mouth shut. He suggested I get a private investigator and suggested a good one. For the last 4 weeks we were gathering evidence and he was preparing the filing for divorce. Be patient, he kept telling me. And my ice-filled veins and her indifference made it easy at first. Yesterday, my lawyer told me he had the filing almost ready. Our state is at fault and the PI got photos, video, plus the texts. It was pretty much a slam dunk. Then, last night, I don't know what happened to me, but the ice turned to fire. She came home, late of course, and I don't even remember what she said to me, but I went off. I said I hoped it was worth fucking her boss. She turned mean, nasty, vindictive. She said I wasn't there for her emotionally. I was just lounging all day at home, even if I was earning the lion's share at home. I wasn't intellectually stimulating, even though I work a highly technical job. I told her I had a lawyer and she laughed. She said my bluff was pathetic. There was no way I was leaving her. That even if I divorced her, she would get half my paycheck. If I stayed with her, at least I would get to occasionally have sex. So I shouldn't mess this up. She was a different person. I said to her that's not a marriage. She laughed again. Honey, this is the 21st century. A woman can have her cake and eat it too. She laughed again and she went to bed. I emailed my boss and said I needed a week off to handle a family issue. He of course granted it. I slept on the couch in my office. This morning, she left as I was getting dressed and only said don't wait up. I went to my lawyer's office and he said he had the papers ready. He had a process server with him and asked how I wanted the papers served. I told him. My lawyer, bless him, laughed and said you better not. I've had so many people want to do accusacy or revenge serving, and I always talk them out of it. Judges don't have a sense of humor. He told me how this could cost me alimony or assets. I didn't care. Her words burned me. I wanted her burned back. The lawyer did his best to keep telling me not to, but he relented when he saw how serious I was about this. The process server, he heard my idea. He laughed as well and said you're my hero. I had to special order something with a rush cost. Sent the process server to pick it up and deliver that with the papers to my wife's work. Process server told me what happened when he was done. He said he showed up at her office with the large box and papers. He found my wife talking and laughing with a group of co-workers and friends and asked her name. She confirmed and asked what it was about. He put the box on a nearby desk and opened it. It was a cake, one that you could get a custom image printed on in frosting. I didn't even know that was a thing until this morning. The image was an image of my wife and her boss in an embrace. Clothed, but obvious what they were doing, with the words here's your cake. Eat it. Piped an icing above the image. Process server put the papers next to the cake box on the table. You've been served. He said what happened next was a loud screech from her. At least 8 people in the office saw the cake. My wife freaked and swatted the large cake box off the table, where it fell on the carpet, but with the image still visible. Several of her co-workers started berating her, and she started crying and screaming. The process server took a hasty retreat. My phone blew up, and I just kept sending her to voicemail. I don't bother reading her texts. She hasn't come home. but her mother texted me saying she is going to stay over there for now. The euphoric rush of the cake felt great. But as the hours pass, I'm considering my lawyer's words now. Did I fuck this up? I installed a hidden camera in the house and caught my girlfriend cheating. Where the fuck do I even start? My girlfriend, 20, has been living with me, 21 meters, and my family for the past 2 years, been together for almost 4. She got into a huge fight with her dad and decided to move out. My mom, being the kind person she's always been, offered to let her live with us. I agreed, of course. I mean, I loved her. Loved. Now, I've always been somewhat of a jealous type in a relationship, but not the crazy kind. The title suggests otherwise, I know, but it was the only way to the truth. My suspicions first arose about a year ago when I was playing this board game Codenames with my sister, 24, her boyfriend, 24, and the cheating bitch, let's call her Stacy. Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were on a team together, and right away I didn't like the energy they were giving off. She was laughing at all his jokes, he was teasing her about some shit. It all just looked flirtatious to me, and I wasn't having any of that. That night, I talked to her about it, and she told me that it was nothing. Of course. During this time, I was going to school and had a job working as a cook, so I was out of the house most of the time. Some days I wouldn't get home until midnight. My parents worked 8 to 4 jobs, as well as my sister. My girlfriend only worked weekends, and she took her schooling online. My sister boyfriend is in construction, but his schedule is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Most of the day, Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were home alone together. My suspicions only grew ever since that board game night. Every time they were in a room together, Stacy would barely look at him anymore. They'd make small talk here and there. I could tell the dynamic of their relationship changed. I confronted Stacy again, asking why all of a sudden she was acting so awkward around him, and she said it's because she doesn't want to upset me. At this point I felt bad for making her feel guilty. I said I'd never bring it up again, and I kept my word. Until 6 days ago, I was lying down on the couch upstairs in the living room. Stacy was in the kitchen, which was half visible from where I was, making a smoothie. My sister's boyfriend comes downstairs and starts making lunch for himself. I couldn't see what they were doing, but I pretended not to care, holding my phone to my face. I could barely see their figures in the back door's glass reflection. They were shifting around each other, trying to do their own thing, when all of a sudden he slaps her ass. In that moment, I felt frozen. Every part of me flared up. After my sister's boyfriend went back upstairs, I got up from the couch, went to the front door, and put my shoes on. Stacy comes toward me and says, "Where are you going?" And I just responded, "Really?" I saw what just happened, then I left, and slammed the door behind me. She chased after me, getting all angry, trying to act as if nothing even happened. I told her what I saw, which just made her even more mad. A reflection. So you're saying you didn't even see it then? You thought you saw it, you wanted to see it, just to justify your psycho thoughts. At this point she's threatening to break up with me, saying she's going to move out and live on her own. Making me feel guilty by saying she's broke, that she'll have to drop out of school and work full time at a shit job. As much as I wanted to just end all of it and let her go at this point, I apologized. I apologized for everything, begged her to stay, and promised to never ever bring it up again. It took a lot of convincing, but eventually she decided to stay, and we walked back to the house. But I knew what I saw. I just needed hard evidence. That same night I ordered a tiny black hidden camera from Amazon. When it arrived, I set it up in the living room next to the kitchen just at the corner of one of the curtains. The next morning, 2 days ago, when everyone was still asleep, I secretly took out the chip, put it in the USB, and quickly went through the footage on my laptop. Nothing. I cleared up the space and put the chip back in the camera. And then yesterday, I finally got what I wanted. I woke up before everyone else again and viewed the chip. Approximately at 3:15 am, I saw my sister's boyfriend slowly walk downstairs and sit on the couch. A few minutes later, Stacy walks upstairs from our room. She carefully walks over to him, sits on his lap, and I couldn't bear to watch anymore. I was in complete disbelief. The girl who I spent 4 years with, the girl I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, cheating on me with my sister's boyfriend. All this time, lying to my face, making me feel guilty. I went back downstairs, woke up Stacy, placed the laptop in front of her, and played the video. As soon as she realized what was happening, she instantly closed it and froze. Nothing was said for what felt like an eternity. She started sobbing, trying to utter words until I finally spoke up. "You're the most conniving, disgusting sociopath I've ever met. Start packing your shit right fucking now, or I'm sending this to everyone you know. We're done." What followed was a very long pathetic sorry excuse for an apology that I don't even want to get into. Eventually she called her dad. He came by and picked her, so I guess she's going to live with her family again. A lot of her things are still here, and she doesn't have any friends to deliver it to her, so I have no idea what to do with all the shit. As for my sister and her boyfriend, he's also been kicked out of the house and now has his own place somewhere. Who knows, maybe Stacy might even move in with him. I don't fucking care. After 4.5 years. After 4.5 years me, 24, and my GF, 23, had it made. 3-bedroom house, just purchased her a brand new car for $35,000. I'm making really good money, and we had even been talking about her quitting her job, so she could just take care of house, dogs, bills etc. She is an extreme extrovert, and I usually only partied on the weekends, but she wanted me to come to a work party of hers and I did. After about an hour there everyone was plastered, and I told her I was gonna go home. "I just bought us some ecstasy though," she says. I'm like IDC, I gotta work in the morning, so I told her to stay and save the drugs for the weekend. She agrees and I leave. Later that night, maybe it was even morning then, I wake up with a really weird pain in my stomach and something just felt really off. I was never jealous throughout our relationship, but I just knew something was up. I instantly just threw on my clothes and went downstairs to find her boning one of her coworkers in my downstairs bathroom. Sat and talked to this guy at the party only a couple hours prior. I just silently grabbed my keys and left. Found out she split the molly with the dude. Fast forward a few months, she's been trying to apologize and get me back for a while. I had remained friendly with her, but had a lot of pent up anger. She wanted to take me camping and work things out. I agree, I knew she genuinely wanted me back. I then went on that camping trip with the sole intention of making her fall madly in love with me all over again. And I think I succeeded. I was the most loving, fun guy that night, and she definitely could tell I grew since the breakup. Then we leave and go back to our homes, and I blocked her off all social media and never talked to her again. IDK how I feel about what I did. I went on that camping trip just to get back at her. I mean, I felt really good after I did it, but now looking back, was I being petty? Probably yes, but before that point I felt really shitty. Now I'm completely moved on. Hopefully I can still trust my next girlfriend as much as I did her. I probably won't even get jealous and probably just run away if anything starts getting sus. Sorry for this being so long and my bad grammar. Thoughts and questions highly encouraged. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing as it really motivates me to make more of these videos. Have an amazing day.